Before his release on the servers, Locke had already appeared in 3 comics and a cinematic. Now his biography has been released as well. For many, all of this is very confusing, so today we've compiled all the available lore about Locke and will explain some interesting details. Although Locke's very first appearance wasn't a Garen comic, we'll later learn more about his past. The story takes place on the outskirts of Brook Hollow, not far from the Wildwoods. Here we see a young Corvin Locke with Shauna Vayne by his side. They were childhood friends and often trained together under the guidance of a family friend named Niles. While Vayne was a master with a crossbow, Locke was frustrated by his inability to hit targets with his ritual nails. One of his nails flew past the target and landed very close to the Wildwoods. Niles scolded Locke for this. Vayne then went to retrieve the nail, but her mentor stopped her, explaining that the Wildwoods are forbidden territory that must not be entered. The Wildwoods will play a major role in the lore later on, but at this stage we're not yet told why this area is so dangerous. Niles simply tells Vayne, "I'll tell you when you're older." By the way, another very interesting detail in the mentor's additional remark. Good, then let's keep our distance until your parents are done with their business here. From these words we can infer that Vayne's parents are monster hunters tracking prey in the Wildwoods, and by all accounts they cross paths with one of the most dangerous demons, Evelynn. This brings us to the following events. Shortly after Vayne's 16th birthday, she returned home from a midsummer banquet and saw something she would never forget. An unspeakably beautiful, horned woman stood before the bloody corpse of her parents. Vayne screamed in agony and terror. The demon looked down at the young girl, her eyes glowing an inhuman yellow. She flashed a terrible, hungry smile and vanished into the shadows. After these horrific events, Vayne decided to become a ruthless monster hunter to finally put an end to the demon responsible for her parents' deaths. While everything is clear from Vayne's backstory and her motives can be explained, questions remain regarding Locke. Apart from his comic, Locke's biography contains no details about his childhood, or possibly family, tragedies, or the like. His path to becoming an exorcist is described as follows. A nail-slinging exorcist versed in forbidden rites, Corvin Locke is the progeny of Damascene occultists. Born into lies and hypocrisy, he learned at a young age that demons aren't the cause of humanity's darkness, but the consequence. Now, Locke tears through every soul, exposing its darkness, intent on making the world a more honest place, one exorcism at a time. So most likely, Locke did not experience the same kind of bloody tragedy as Vayne did. He simply witnessed those horrors firsthand and decided to become, so to speak, the quote-unquote champion of justice, to make the world of Runeterra a little more honest. So after her parents' death, Vayne's story continues. The girl found herself a mentor, but during an attack by one of the demoness's priestess, the mentor transformed into a wolf to protect her students. Vayne could not bear the sight of her mentor's terrifying form and shot her right in the heart. After that, Vayne continued hunting monsters on her own. As for Locke, he disappears from view for a very long time and reappears in the present day, which takes place 10 years after Vayne's parents' death. Locke stopped at the Raptor's Rest Inn in Brook Hollow before heading to the Wildwoods, the very place mentioned earlier in the comic. At the tavern, Locke noticed an elderly villager in the company of a woman who bore a striking resemblance to his late wife. The man was enchanted by the stranger and sincerely hoped that fate had somehow brought his beloved back to him. However, Locke quickly realized that this was no ordinary woman, but yet another demon in disguise. After following the couple, the exorcist uncovered the stranger's true nature. She turned out to be Evelynn, an ancient demon who feeds not merely on her victims' pain, but on their emotional suffering. She takes the form of whatever a person desires most, first to offer hope and then to turn that hope into agony. That is precisely why Evelynn chose to take the form of the villager's late wife. She saw his grief and used the most painful wound in his soul against him. Locke intervened before Evelynn could finish her hunt. A brief skirmish broke out between them, during which the exorcist managed to trap the demoness in a magical seal. However, instead of simply destroying her, he decided to interrogate Evelynn. She revealed that a mysterious demon hunter had been hot on her heels. In exchange for this information, Locke agreed to release the demoness after learning that she was referring to Vayne. It is this encounter that serves as the connecting link between Locke's story, the comic, and the cinematic. After Evelynn left, Locke spoke with the villager and discovered the locket containing a portrait of the man's late wife. The man confessed that a year after her death, he still hadn't been able to come to terms with his loss. Before leaving, the exorcist gave the man a potion and advised him to finally let go of the past. He warned that as long as a person continues to dwell on their pain, they remain the perfect prey for creatures like Evelynn. While Locke is rushing to the wildwoods, Vayne receives a letter from an old family friend, the same Niles, as indicated by the medallion Vayne finds in the wildwoods. We saw this very same medallion in the comic, hanging around Niles' neck. In the letter, the man asks for help in fighting a demon on the outskirts of Demacia. Fearing for his safety, Vayne sets out for the dark wildwoods, hoping to arrive in time. As we work through Vayne's part of the story, the very same memories we discussed at the beginning of the video came flooding back, and now it becomes clear why. 10 years ago, that is, Niles warned that the wildwoods were an ominous place, and a dangerous one, that is. First, because demons used to and still dwell there, and second, because those who entered this forest never leave unchanged. Next, a battle begins between Vayne and the demon, but it soon turns out that this is not just a demon, but Niles who is possessed by a demon. A conversation ensues between them, and the demon mentions some kind of healing that Vayne's parents received. Although it appears that Niles is speaking from his own consciousness, we believe that even at this moment, he is still under the demon's control, and the words he utters actually belong to the demon. Most likely, this phrase means that the death of her parents is a kind of a quote-unquote healing from the demon's perspective. Or perhaps her parents were trying to control and subjugate demonic forces. Niles goes on to say, they meddled with power, they did not fully understand, and they were more depraved than the demon who killed them. Truth be told, we cannot believe everything Niles said since he is possessed by a demon. And as we know, demons lie to provoke people into emotional reactions, and it worked. After Vayne killed Niles, the demon turned its attention to Vayne herself. We see the demon taking control of her emotions, radiating wild hatred. And at the end of the comic, we see Locke appear. The events that follow unfold in the cinematic sequence. When Locke finally finds Vayne, it becomes clear that the demon has completely taken over her mind. She no longer tries to resist and lunges at him as if he were nothing but prey. For Locke, this is a particularly difficult moment because standing before him is not just a possessed person, but his longtime partner. A fierce battle erupts between them. Vayne harnesses the demon's power, becoming far more dangerous than ever before. Even an experienced exorcist can barely withstand her assault and her onslaught. However, Locke does not try to kill her. Unlike most demon hunters, he understands that the demon itself is merely a consequence of human emotions, not their cause. During the fight, Locke gradually pushes Vayne to the limits of her strength, after which he uses his sinister artifact, a skull linked to his forbidden rituals. With its help, he extracts the demonic essence from Vayne. Now let us talk about some interesting details. Right at the beginning, we see two blue lights. These are Locke's glowing glasses, as seen from within the spirit world. Later, we see him fully emerge from the spirit world, taking on human form. Most likely, he gained his abilities by attempting to harness the power of demons. And as we recall, Niles mentioned that Vayne's parents also tried to do this, but they failed. Locke's glasses allow him to clearly see demons, even if they've taken the form of ordinary humans. That is exactly how he exposed Evelynn in that scene with the villager. Demons have a bright, multicolored glow, which we also see throughout the cinematic. This is exactly what was shown to us in the demonic skin lineup. This is exactly what demonic magic and corruption look like from the demon's own perspective. Through Locke's eyes, we see the corrupted Vayne with a demonic hand on her head, and the demon itself appearing behind her. And because Vayne has been corrupted by a demon, she sees Locke as a magical creature with blue burning eyes. She also sees the desecrated wildwoods. In addition to his glasses, Locke has many other tools for hunting demons. A huge coffin bearing the semen of the monster hunters hangs on his back. We saw the exact same symbol on the letter Vayne received from Niles. The coffin itself contains many different items: a skull, nails, candles, paper seals, and potions, one of which he had previously given to the villager. The nails are made of petricite, a special Damascene material that absorbs magic. In the cinematic, we see a nail strike a demonic hound, causing it to vanish instantly. But for stronger demons, he uses the skull, which serves as both bomb and trap. After capturing the demon, several petricite nails are driven into the skull. Captured demons do not die but are simply held inside it, and Locke places it back into the coffin. We can see how the skull works in the cinematic's final scene. Locke tows the skull and the nails fly out of it, thereby activating it. The demon begins to be sucked into the skull and Vayne along with it. Locke addresses Vayne directly. The cinematic shows us the struggle taking place inside the girl. From her perspective, she sees glowing glasses and Locke's hand reaching toward her. Next, we also see a split-screen view. On one side, Vayne is fighting the demon, and on the other, the exorcist's hand. Eventually, Vayne grabs Locke's hand and the demon expelled from her body is sucked into the skull. Afterwards, the nails return to the skull, sealing it shut. There is another interesting detail we noticed. If you take a look at Locke's death animation in the game, he turns to ash. On the champion's model itself, you can see that his lower half is gray, suggesting that Locke is gradually turning to dust. Taking it back to the theory that Locke gained demonic power, he most likely pays for it with his life. Or perhaps it is this very skull, which he uses to trap demons, that sustains him. But so far, this detail has not been mentioned in the existing lore about Locke. All in all, Locke is a very interesting champion. We were shown a glimpse of his childhood and his connection to Vayne and Evelynn, and the cinematic trailer is simply unmatched. So dynamic, so colorful, and quite epic. Although Locke is the only new champion coming out this year, we do hope Riot will be able to delve deeper into his story, just as they did with Zahan, Yanara, and Xin Zhao. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts on Locke in the comments. See you guys next time over a mug of the finest ale in all of Runeterra.